Hey, guys. Super excited to be coming to you guys for this special series on the Speak Easy podcast, where we talk about what it means to be the successfully paid speaker and author. I am your host, Altavis Pelzer, your voice manager. Hey, guys. And this is the Boys to Men series. Guys, we are celebrating men, father stories all month long. So with that being said, I want to say, hey, Michael.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you are catching this. Thank you for having me. My name is
Oh
Mike
my
Gibson.
Yes, we about to dig in. So, Michael, give them a little introduction, and then we'll dive into the topic for today.
My name is Michael Gibson. I write under Biblical Poet. I speak on socially relevant topics from a faith-based perspective. I believe the only way you can gain insight is through communication and asking God to lead and guide you when you answer those questions. And that's who I am. I'm a writer, I'm a speaker, I'm an author, I'm a father, and most importantly, I'm a son. I'm a son of my mother, and I'm a son of the Most High, and that's who I am.
Yes. So that takes us to our first question, which is, what is a dad story that has inspired or impacted some decisions that you make even today?
The dad story that impacted me the most, I was caught in the act of doing something that I knew I had no business doing. And I grew up in a time where parents didn't spare the rod. And my dad walks in the house and he catches me in the middle of the act. And he did not correct me. He just simply looked at me with a look and shut the door. I immediately stopped because I knew I was wrong. And then normally my dad would be like, we're going to discuss it later. And he never said one word to me. I actually had to go to him and talk to him. And he said, well, if you felt you were man enough to do it, then you should be man enough to admit that you were wrong. And that was something that really changed the tone for me, because normally he would adjudicate, correction, usually expediently. But this was a moment where he actually just let me be a man. And that was actually a change for me, because there was a time where I felt as though he wouldn't allow me to make mistakes and that he will always try to correct me. And at this time, I was a teenager. I was like 16 years old. And he didn't say anything. He just shut the door. And I just knew I was a goner. And my mom said, boy, you... And I was like, what do you mean? He didn't say nothing. 2-3 days, he didn't say nothing. And I said, Mom, what should I do? She was like, well, you were wrong. You probably should go talk to him. And that was the first time that I felt that my dad saw me actually as a man.
That's really significant, because I think that with our young men right now, especially, they do so much to try to be seen as I'm a man. When we think about them joining gangs, they join gangs because they want to show that, they about something. I'm sorry, I had to go back to the Philly lingo. They about something. And so that's definitely a significant moment. Wow, because there are so many that don't have that, and that's the reason why they get in gangs. That's the reason why they go and do the things they do, is because they're looking for that moment.
Altavis, the reason why it was so powerful for me is because my father was always an engaged father. My father would always correct me, and he taught me this scripture at a young age. A father, he's a father by the way he corrects you. And the word says if he don't correct you, you're like a bastard, meaning that you don't have a father that you know of. So my dad always said, I don't have any bastard children. And I don't mean that in a negative connotation. It's just what the word of God says. So my dad said, fathers that don't chastise you don't love you. And so I always knew that my dad would correct me at some point and he would guide me. And it was really because he loved me. And he always explained to me, I'm on you because I love you. If I didn't love you, I wouldn't say anything to you. So sometimes when I was with my friends, he would never address them. And he said, because they're not my kids. My concern is you. So as a tradition, I knew that my dad, it didn't matter where I was. I grew up, my dad would say, you're not embarrassing me in the grocery store because you'll be embarrassed. My dad would say, you can call the police, but by the time they get here, you will need them. So I knew that my father was the type of dude that didn't play. It didn't matter if I was if I was at the football game and I did something wrong, that dude would call me out. I knew that's the type of dad I had. So when he didn't correct me, I was like, wow, there was power in his silence. There was a power in him not doing, because my whole life you corrected me because you loved me. And now I know I am wrong, and you caught me in the middle of it and you don't correct me. There's a problem. And I needed to figure out. So I wasn't crying for attention as most do. I was like, it was the lack of attention from someone that was very attentive in my behavior and in my reputation. I knew that there was a shift, and that I'm telling you, spoke volumes to me.
You know, that's powerful, because it leads right into the next piece that I wanted to say was, what is that one thing that if you could, help one, because, we always talk about sometimes our message, our story, our lives, our wisdom is meant to touch that one. So if you touch that one listener, that one man, that one young man, what would you want to say to them to encourage them, especially with what we have going on right now?
I would say the most important thing that you need to learn is that there's levels to love. See, we expect love to be one level, one way. God hasn't designed most men to love in a way that a mother does. Most men are protectors, or they try to be protectors. Most men try to solve solutions. Most men want to be dominant in some type of way. That's just our nature. And when we see somebody, we want to compete with them. That's, again, our nature. And there's nothing wrong with being competitive. There's nothing wrong with being dominant. There's nothing wrong with being submissive. None of those vocabulary words, there's nothing wrong with them. But what you must understand is that there are many levels to love. And for me to love you, it is for me to see what I expect you to be 10 years from now. So many times fathers are dealing with their sons based on what I want you to be. They're not correcting you for the moment. They're correcting you saying, well, I know when you're 10, you can't do this. Or I know when you're 15, you can't do that. And typically a mother corrects in the moment, saying, you are hurt now. This happened now. You're bleeding now. And the father says, look, well, if you playing football and you got hurt, you can't be sitting here like whining like this. So when he's dealing with his 8-year-old son, the mom was like, oh my God, his arm is hurting. And the dad's like, nah, get up. Because if a coach was dealing with you, you ain't hurt. Or like, are you injured? Are you hurt? So fathers many times are misunderstood, because a lot of times the correction that we're giving is because we're looking to the future you and not at the present you. So sometimes you feel as though we're not in the moment. Now we're in the moment, but we're like, okay, I need you to act this way because this is what you're going to be. And a lot of times as a father, as you know your limitations and your weaknesses and your flaws, you will deal with your child because you don't want them to have that same weakness and that same flaw. The issue comes when you don't communicate with your child saying, I'm this way because this is what I lacked. And this is what I don't like about myself. And because I don't like this about myself, son, this is why I'm trying to help you with this, because this was an area of weakness for me. And I don't want this to be an area of weakness for you. I want this to be an area of strength for you. But when we don't communicate that, then the punishment seems so harsh. The correction seems like so out of the way, but it's because we don't communicate that. So I try as a father now to say, Luke, I'm this way because when I was a kid, I saw the damage it did to me personally. So this is why I need you to stand up now, because I didn't stand up as a kid. So you need to stand up as a kid, because it'll eliminate this person from picking on you. It'll eliminate this person from picking on you. So the reason why I say you got to be hard, the reason, like, I talk trash to my son in every sport we play. Every sport we play. If it's Madden, I'm talking trash. If we playing hoops outside, I'm talking trash. And I said, I'm talking trash to you because you got to be mentally tough. You need to be mentally tough. And my wife like, stop talking to him like that. I'm like, nah, I'm talking to him like he's going to be playing ball in high school. It don't matter if he played ball in high school, but I'm talking to him like he's playing ball in high school. He's taking a shot. You ain't making that shot. You ain't strong enough to make that shot. Do you have the heart to make that shot? You can't. I'm talking to you how I need you to be. And many fathers deal with their children on that level, or deal with people on that level, but they don't really communicate that. So it seems as though they're the big grizzly bear, like they're overbearing, but really I'm teaching for the future, and I'm responding to the future you, not the now you. So that makes us seem like we don't have any emotions. Now we have emotions, but we're not necessarily communicating why we are leading, guiding, and correcting in that way.
That just healed. I know it just healed somebody. Speakeasy podcast listeners, this is one of the reasons why I'm excited about bringing the series to you guys, is because I wanted you to hear it straight from the men. No fluff, no ifs, ands, or buts. One of the things is that they did not know what questions would be asked before they got here, and a lot of them gave me the side eye, but it was because I wanted their genuine response. I wanted their heart. And I know that throughout this series, you are going to hear their heart for not just their fathers, but their brothers, uncles, their sons, their grandchildren. I mean, you're going to hear their heart, because a lot of times we see people at face value and we don't always see the heart. And I think in the times we're in right at this moment, we really can't take anything at face value anymore. We really can't. And so I'm just through the roof about this series, guys. Michael, let them know how they can connect with you and where they can find you at online.
If you would like to connect with me, you can simply type hashtag biblical poet and put in hashtag YIG2C. If you put those two things in Google, in Bing, you'll find me. But I'm predominantly on Facebook at facebook.com/biblical poet. But again, if you want to find me, just do hashtag biblical poet and hashtag YIG2C. YIG2C stands for Why I Go to Church. If you do those two hashtags, you'll probably find like 150 videos of me and more than you ever wanted to know about me. But that's how you find me.
I love it, guys. And don't forget, join the conversation. You can always join the free Facebook group to join the conversation. We'll be talking about our fathers and celebrating our men and fathers all month long. We'll also be having a special prayer over our fathers, husbands, and men, our sons, simply because guess what? As a community, that's what we do together. Go to bit.ly/World Voice Community. That's how you join the free Facebook group. And until next time, don't forget to press it out. See ya.